Are you ready to be overwhelmed? The Italian Baroque architects mastered the unification of visual arts. This meant painting, sculpture, architecture, garden design, and urban planning. They did this to a remarkable degree, producing buildings and structures with a heightened sense of drama and power. So come with me and let's take a look. One of the biggest characteristics of Italian Baroque architecture is movement. Movement is the key. However, it is balanced in the play of forces, in projection and recession. Notice that the facade of this building, the center pieces of the facade project out, and then the other pieces are recessed. This creates excitement. The excitement never oversteps the bounds of authority. When looking at an interior and trying to decide if it originates from the Renaissance time period or the Baroque, one key feature is to look at either the columns and or the pilasters. And a pilaster is basically a column, which we see right here. It's half of a column against a wall. So we have two pilasters, one here, and then we have another one over here, and then we have two columns. But notice at the top of the pilaster and the top of the column, we have the gilded Corinthian capitals. This is very indicative of the Baroque time period. So during the Italian Baroque time period, the honesty of material was disregarded. Theatricalism and scenic effect were the first requirements. And if plaster or tin could substitute for marble or gold, the artistic conscience did not suffer. So what this statement means is that if you're using honesty of material, you're using brick for brick, marble for marble. If you disregard it, you're producing things that we might think of as faux. So you might paint panels, wood panels, you might paint them to resemble marble. So we would maybe refer to it as faux marble, fake marble. So this was the philosophy that was prevalent during this time. Because of this philosophy, it's also the reason that we do not have a lot of furniture remaining. They did not use the highest of quality when it came to materials. Also popular during the Baroque period was this idea of recycling and repurposing of materials. For example, if we take a look here at the colonnade, and the colonnade is here and over here, the colonnade is constructed of marble. And where do you think that marble came from? The marble came from the Colosseum. Yes, the Colosseum that was constructed during the antiquities. So, just a little food for thought as we move forward. When looking at St. Peter's, we really have to understand that it's the earliest example of Italian Baroque architecture. Aesthetically, the development of the Baroque movement was a revolt against the frigidity and lack of spirit in the Vitruvian formula. In looking at this slide, it's easy to see that St. Peter's was built on such a colossal scale, it is hard to visually gauge its dimensions. St. Peter's is 710 feet long and covers approximately 227,000 square feet. Over a period of 120 years, many famous architects were employed in building it. Among them were Raphael, Michelangelo, and Bernini. Did you know that the bronze material that was used by Bernini to produce the baldachin was taken from the Pantheon? Another example of repurposing materials. In terms of Baroque furniture, the finest pieces of furniture in the Baroque taste were made by the Venetians. The classic ornament, which was generally of exaggerated scale, displayed a more complicated composition and greater complexity of curved forms. It was characterized by dramatic contrast and extravagant movement. Sculptors, believe it or not, were the greatest furniture makers during this time period. The idea or philosophy of theatricalism, drama, and movement can also be found in the design of furniture. Let's take a look at this writing chair. We see movement with the legs. The legs are also described as barley twists. The most distinctive innovation during the Italian Baroque period was the console table. The console was a prestigious piece with very little functional use. It was often linked with a large mirror so it helped create a more integrated style of interior design. The large mirror was also an innovation of this time period. Mirrors had a practical as well as decorative value. During the day, the mirrors helped brighten the room by reflecting light from the windows. At night, they magnified the light of the candles and lamps. The reflected area gave an impression of added space, and multiple reflections from several mirrors produced a feeling of unity. There are several things that I'd like to point out with this particular slide. If you take a look up towards the top right, you'll see several young boys without wings. The proper term for these young boys is putai. If by chance you see young boys with wings, the proper term is cherub. So without wings, they're known as putai, and if they have wings, they're known as cherubs. The second thing I'd like to point out is the bed. The Italian bed in the Baroque time period depended upon fabrics for its luxurious appearance. The four-poster bed went out of fashion and was replaced by a structure completely hidden beneath fabrics. If any woodwork showed, it would have been gilded. And we see the headboard in this example. We see wood exposed with the headboard, and it is gilded. We see evidence of the S curve and the C curves, all very reminiscent of the Baroque period. The other thing I'd like to point out is the strong color scheme. We see strong tones in primary colors. We see reds, we see blues, and we see the golds. So this slide concludes our exploration with the Italian Baroque period.